We're live. Are we live? Do you think we're live, Max?
Apparently we're live. We'll see if we're working.
Are we live?
Is this thing on?
Check 1, 2, 17. We're live. The KSR Football Podcast. I'm Nick Roush, joined by Max Duffy, Adam Luckett, and Drew Franklin, who spent some time in the Windy City where it's very windy, lots of wind. How was the wind?
Well, I was in New York, which is not the Windy City.
I bet there's some wind.
There was wind up there. I didn't go to Chicago, but it was a good time. Got to watch the Cats at the UK bar. Their crowd's been hurting this year in football, they tell me. So it's not just at local,
establishments. Yeah.
But no, good time. I flew in this morning, a little tired.
Oh, your arms tired?
They are.
Oh, there you go. Got that one in there. I've never been to New York City. Can you tell me why it's a cool place that you like to go to? Because I know a lot of people go to, you go, this is annual pretty much, right?
Yeah, I haven't missed a year in a long time. I like all of the food.
Okay.
I like all the options. I go to a few places at the same time. There's something for everybody.
Is it like Rick Pitino Italian good? Is that what?
Oh yeah, I had a great Italian Friday night, Il Molino. Everyone there is straight from Italy, and it's a good time.
Heck yeah.
I had a fun football-related sighting today.
Oh.
It's actually got my mind in a bit of a pretzel.
Oh, I love pretzels.
I had a 7 a.m. flight, so I was in bed early last night. I'm a responsible adult. I'm watching the Lions and Texans. And my wife's next to me, and she shows me a picture. It popped up. It was like Facebook memory, It's like, look what you did. And it was Jason Garrett, and the Cowboys had just lost by $1 million.
Oh.
And she's like, I miss Jason Garrett. It's a selfie she got with him 8 years ago.
This fly is a tiny.
Yeah, this fly is coming out.
I'll see it. We're not just going crazy. This morning, we're on the double escalator at the airport. Jason Garrett's arm is touching my arm, basically. We're next to each other, and I'm like, Abby, and he turns and looks at me. I was like, big fan. And, this dude pulled over his luggage at 6 in the morning and talked to Abby for a long time. It was super nice, but it was so weird because 6 hours earlier, Facebook said 8 years ago today, she met Jason Garrett. And then, we were next to each other on the double escalator this morning. So I talked a little ball with the NFL head coach today. He's not a regular KSR Football Podcast listener, but maybe he's out there today.
The Clapper's a good guy. Who would have guessed it?
He does strike me as a nice guy, but nice guys already.
He wanted to talk
Duke
Derby.
fan.
He wanted to talk Derby, so that's what you would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's my little tale from
Duke
New York.
fan. You should have talked some smack about the game on Tuesday.
He's a Duke fan?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I'd known that.
Yeah. Should it?
This fly is trying to contribute to the podcast. It must have some strong Stoops takes or something because it's trying to get its word in. It's just flying from mic to mic.
It really is.
Yeah. But we'll power through. We'll figure it out. We're going to talk some Kentucky football today. We're going to talk about all of the football that happened over the weekend. It's kind of fun just to sit by and watch all the other teams play.
We survived this fly.
We're going to try. We're going to try our best. I watched some high school football this weekend. I was up visiting my in-laws in Ohio, so watched a little Division 7. That's the lowest division there, Max. And it was fun. It's the first time I've watched a game. I guess I went to one other high school game, but you got to really lock in because there's no replay, right?
Yep.
There's no jumbotron up there. Normally, when I'm watching a game, there's multiple screens, and I got the stats pulled up, and it's no. I'm staring at what's happening. It was fun. Was your Friday night game fun? Are the LCA Eagles still alive?
LCA Eagles still going. First round win against Greene County, which was good. So we didn't have the bye, unlike the Kentucky football team. Running clock in the first quarter, so
basically about
on par with what we've probably going to do to every team in the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes.
A little smack to hop.
Yeah, a little bit. We'll be fine. But I did have watched high school football, and weirdly enough, I watched an Alaskan high school football game.
Really?
Yeah, just wanted to bet on something random and took Alaskan high school football. It had an hour delay. Too much sun. I'm serious. It had a sun delay because the sun's so bright up there. I guess they have to cancel the game if it's too bright. It was too bright. They had to have an hour sun delay. I'm not even kidding.
I guess because
so you had that money tied up. You can go bet it on other things.
The sun would bounce off of the snow or something to make it bright?
It was so bright. Even the cameras were just glaring. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's something for you. Never heard of that before. Didn't even know it was a thing.
I didn't know this. But is there a college football team in Alaska? Do we know? One would think that there's where did they play the Great Alaska Shootout?
Anchorage.
Was there a school in
Didn't Anthony Epps get lost up there or something?
Yeah.
Got lost on a snowmobile?
I don't know if they would have a football program though. I could see one school having it, but then who are you going to play? You're going to have enough to have a little bit of a league up there, I would think. Hell, they'll probably put him in the ACC.
Who's the best? Someone in the chat, tell us who the best football player to come from Alaska was.
Ooh, yeah.
Share some names.
I would like to know that.
From my viewing, there wasn't going to be me. it was kind of Kentucky.
Different level of sport going on there. I did want to just. I asked you about the playoffs, Max. We gotta get rid of the first round of the KHSAA playoffs.
Yeah.
It needs to end. The whole format right now is very dumb to begin with. The RPI thing. Yeah. Leaving it up to a computer. It's stupid. The traditional way of like, hey, it alternates back and forth between home, and it just kind of sets up who your region is. That made sense. Playing that first game, you should have to earn your way into the playoffs. Which, that was that was how it was when you were in high school, correct? Like, only the top few teams in the district made it? Because you still had 4A.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when they changed to 6. It was
6 went in 07, I want to say.
It was either my last year or the year before, but I think the first. Well, I don't know. I think the first 3 teams in the district made the playoffs. Because I remember Manual making it. Manual was in our district along with Mel.
It's just like where everybody gets to play in the postseason, then it's not worth anything. I mean, it's just silly. I don't like it. You should have to earn your way in. I know that it makes monies for these schools, but like, come on, how much money does that get?
I was very confused when Douglas was playing a team that was 1-9. Like, why is this even a game?
Yeah, it should not be a game that is being played.
How about Mark Schlereth as an Alaskan football player, according to my Google search?
Whoa. There you go. That's a big one.
Is it bad that I only know Mark Schlereth for using the restroom, for soiling himself during games? I mean, what do they call him?
Stink.
Stink, yeah. Well, we know why.
He went to Anchorage High School. There's your answer.
Oh, there you go.
As you were.
The more you know, Mark Schlereth. Let's talk some Kentucky football, shall we? And we're going to talk some Kentucky football thanks to Club Blue NIL. Club Blue is your official NIL partner with the University of Kentucky, and they're proud sponsors of the KSR Football Podcast. And Club Blue, all of that money that goes to Club Blue is going directly to fans. They're not cutting anything out. So pick your sport, which one you want to support. Visit them at clubbluenil.com. You're going to get hooked up with great perks to be able to meet the players, get some great merchandise. They've got it all at Club Blue. Go get some Kentucky Blue Light, and you'll be drinking one for the team with Club Blue NIL, official partner, NIL partner of University of Kentucky Athletics, Club Blue NIL. Mark Stoops talked today. And it was an interesting press conference.
Yes, it was.
And you know what? He played Max's favorite game. Mm-hmm. What percent chance? I think, have we played what percent chance is Mark Stoops going to be back next year?
Not on here.
No, we haven't played it on here. Well, Mark Stoops played it today. And Max, he said 0%.
It's not very often when you play the percentage chance game that anyone ever goes 0 or 100.
Yeah.
He just pulling out the 0 is. I mean, it's pretty definitive.
No.
It's pretty definitive that he gave himself 0. Like, I'm not sure if he knew there was numbers in between 0 and 100 that you could answer, but he just went straight for 0. So.
True or false?
Oh man, but it was. Obviously, that's not how the question was phrased, but there was there's been a lot of speculation about your future, about you potentially stepping down.
It was retire, though, right? Was that how it was worded? Like, retire?
It was. It wasn't necessarily the most direct question.
It was a lot of word salad.
It was, it was asking about, John Wong asked about, like, would he step away and enjoy life, retirement? It wasn't necessarily the most direct.
So it could have been like 0% chance that I'll go away and enjoy life. Like maybe he's just planning on being miserable. Like could he be using wordplay?
That's where John needed to follow up. Let's get clear here. What's the percentage chance?
So there's a follow-up.
Can I just tell you
which part of the question was 0?
In a brown leather chair, just stupid, just gripping the armrest. I'm so mad.
I wasn't in the room like you boys, but I was watching the live feed from home, and Stoops looked very uncomfortable as that question was being formed. I kind of felt like John took a long way to get there, even though we knew where he was going.
Oh yeah,
and you got a little bit of that angry Stoops. Like, why are we talking about this? Right
his face like contorted in a way that I haven't seen it contort in a while. Like it was just like a, and then like I mean he was not happy with the question. But here's the thing, it was going to get asked eventually, and you know what? He was going to respond in that way no matter what. I mean, this is what these coaches do. This is what they say. The reason why it hadn't been asked is because what else is he going to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when when Cole Kubelik, when Tom Herman was with Houston, and he asked him during the game about.
I think it might have even been before pregame interview,
and he gave like some weird response. Not saying Stoops is lying or that, but you just can't take these statements to the bank. Cal and Mitch just sat in a bunker like 6 months ago. So
it was like 10 days before Cal took the job at Arkansas.
So I wouldn't don't take these to the bank. But to me,
what was the Tuberville quote you had?
Tuberville told people at Ole Miss, "You'd have to carry me out in a pine box." And 2 weeks later, he's the head coach on the Plains.
Didn't he get up from a meal with a recruit?
Oh,
and just leave.
That was leaving Texas Tech for Cincinnati.
Okay, yeah, I knew
different job.
I knew he ghosted a recruit at dinner.
Wasn't that the same for the baseball coach this year that went from Texas A&M to Texas or the other way around? And he's like, I will never, ever leave this program. And then, literally a day later.
He got mad at the reporter for even asking the question and then was at Texas the next day.
Oh, he scolded like a student reporter.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Nick Saban, at Miami?
He did something with Miami, said he was not going back to college. But you can't, to me, Stoops' comment, it's not everything, but it's not nothing. But I wouldn't take it to the bank, per se. It's kind of how I read it.
It was nice to see him fired up and mad, though, because I like that version of Stoops much more better than I don't want that to be a headline Stoops, which we got one of those today. Luckett, you got it today.
I got to wear the badge of honor today.
Yeah, I'll be shooting for it next week. And that's a question for another day. But you were going to say something.
Well, that's the positive thing for me. I mean, I haven't seen it live, and I'd love to see that little Youngstown kid come out in him where he gets all grumpy and mad and wants to kill the world. But the positive is there wasn't even, from the sounds of it, a hesitation, work your way around the question, we'll see what happens. It was just, what are you even talking about? I'm staying. Yeah. Which, to me, again, points to the fact, you saw it at the end of Ole Miss, whether the results have been what we wanted, they haven't, but he's invested and he's in. And with what he says, people may say that some things aren't perfect, but with what he's saying, he is in.
Yeah. He's saying the right words.
Yeah.
He has to say that.
And if he's going to stick around, though, that's exactly what you want.
It's his job.
Even if in his mind he's 100% leaving, he has a locker room. He has to go get ready for 3 more football games.
Yes.
And he can't go to the media and talk about leaving.
A recruiting class.
He doesn't have to do it.
Let's say he's truly 50-50, and he just gets up there and says, you know what? I'm 50-50. I don't know what I'm going to do. Then you have a recruiting class you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And the players maybe want to leave if you're not all the way in. So, I think.
And then people are critical that he's saying that mid-year. There's no way he can win in that scenario.
Yeah. He pointed out, too, that there's a quarter of the season left, which is, saying that out loud.
What?
Yeah. There's a quarter of the season is still left.
3 divided by 12.
Yeah. That feels like a lot when you say it out loud. Now, granted, one of those is Murray State. And you kind of know how that's going to go. We'll talk more about that later. One of those is at Texas, which 2:30 local kick, 3:30 ABC. So not going to be a late one.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, really is. So excited about that kickoff time announcement. And then you play a rival to end the year in Louisville. So, but it feels that's what's weird is that when you're talking about the final quarter left of the season, we're happy you're joining us to discuss all this is happening. But the reason why people are wanting to talk Kentucky football is because you're talking about the future. You're not talking about the final 3 games. So, the games, we're in this weird spot where the games matter, but it doesn't. They feel just a sideshow to what is really the main storyline topic. The main thing about the program isn't the actual games, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we're all waiting to see what happens in December.
Yeah,
that's really what we're waiting. What we're all waiting for. But you have to play these football games first. And I think really, I don't know, the Florida or Auburn loss kind of cemented that. It was this is what it is. How do we get through this season and where do you go? I think you even see that with some of these decisions on offense. This youth movement we're slowly seeing on offense. Malachi Wood taking over at right tackle. Jamarian Wilcox becoming RB1. Hartley Gilmore getting more and more playing time. And now Carter Boley may start. So even in that aspect, they're kind of moving, I think, towards the future.
It's important, though, in terms of you got 3 games left, and if you go by what he says, which is what you have to, at the press conference today, and he's coming back, there's a difference with I'm coming back and we just got blown out at Texas and we got blown out by Louisville, then I'm coming back and we were competitive against Texas and we beat Louisville. Like, there's a difference of that, and especially with the mindset of the fans, like, it's going to be more palatable if you've beaten Louisville and been competitive than if you just get blown out in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, it could be a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe eating a crud sandwich over the last couple weeks.
The youth movement has at least helped my interest a little bit. I mean, we're going to all the games. It's work. Got to be there. But, like, I have an excitement to see Cutter Boley, and I've enjoyed seeing Harley Gilmore a little bit. We all know what Wilcox is. That's kind of keeping me interested more than I would be if we're just rolling out the same roster that we've seen in all these games.
It is so weird, though, Drew, that they went from let's play Gavin Wimsatt in the second half to let's completely take him out of the game plan for the Tennessee game. Brock gets hurt. We have to play Gavin. And now we're just going straight to the third guy, which Stoops didn't say it out loud, but Matt's hinted at it. We've heard that that Cutter took most of the reps with the ones last week in practice. So it's like, it's funny how quick that switch was flipped, where it's like, we like Gavin. We like his explosiveness. We're trying to get him to play. And it's like, all right, well, you can play him. We're going to play the other guys. Anybody but Gavin, actually. So I don't really know what's happening there, but I would rather see Cutter versus Murray State than Gavin. Although, if Brock has to miss Texas, then what do you do? Well,
It's kind of crazy because this whole year, like you said, they've tried to play Gavin Wimsatt. Now they have a chance to play him. And they're picking the other option.
Why?
I mean,
try and make sense of this offense.
If you want Cutter to come back and not just take options elsewhere, and you see a future in him, then you're playing him for the next few weeks because you're going to keep him happy and say, here's your chance. I know that people might be like, it's too early, whatever. If you want to keep that guy happy, then he's got to play.
Here's my thing. I would argue the other thing. Putting him out there makes him more at risk for you to lose him. What if he's good?
But he would rather stay at Kentucky than leave. If we give him an opportunity, if you don't give him an opportunity, he's gone. If you give him an opportunity and he looks good and we like him, then we can keep him.
Where is he going to go as a redshirt freshman with no tape?
I mean, he was highly recruited. We're still going to be after him.
There's other kids coming behind him that are highly recruited. No school is going to be like, give us that redshirt freshman from Kentucky. Let's make money for him.
That high-powered offense.
My thing, my argument is, it's hard to say. It's hard to make this, like, pass any judgment on this for me because you don't know what's going on with Brock. Like, how seriously injured is he?
Sounds like he's at least out this week, though.
But if he's out, are you really going to run Cutter Boley out there against Texas in their top 5 defense in Austin? Are you sure you want to do that?
I mean,
yeah, why not?
You got it in Gainesville?
Yeah.
That went well.
That was unfair to him.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But, like, does he get it? If he gave you a better chance to win than Wimsatt, why did it take till now to see him? It feels like to me, Nick, that they just don't know what to do. They're just throwing stuff on the wall and seeing if anything sticks. And this is just another move of that. Just like I think the Wimsatt move, and Auburn didn't really make a ton of sense to put him in the game right now. They're just doing that, and then let's be honest, they were late playing Wilcox.
We and several others are trying to guess or get inside the minds of people that seem to be lost themselves. So it's just a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that they don't know what to do with that offense. So us trying to guess what they're going to do with the offense when they don't know themselves. It's just such a mess over there.
They're lost in a maze, but we don't have a map, but we're getting dropped off to get them out of the maze. And yeah, that's kind of what it feels like with this offense, which it's been bad all year. The good news is today, I don't know how well you know Mark Story. Do you know Mark Story, Max Duffy? Writes for the Herald Leader.
I do not.
Great guy. Been writing stories.
Well named.
For the Herald Leader, yeah. For
real last name?
Time.
Yeah, he's left his mark.
Wow.
He Story. I get it. Like writing stories.
Yeah. Gosh, I love
It'd be like
the wordplay.
Drew Blog.
But he shared some stats about the Murray State defense. I didn't write them down. I'll write them down on the blog that Mr. Luckett referred to. But in the FCS ranks, Murray State ranks in the 120s in every major statistical category. There's a chance that this might be the worst defensive football team that's ever played in that stadium in the history of that stadium.
Wow, they're bad.
So
that's not true because we've seen some pretty bad high school football teams.
Okay. Outside of at the college ranks, which begs the question: instead of what percent chance, How many points does Kentucky score on Saturday against the Racers of Murray State?
This is, I think, 5 or 6 teams have scored over 50 against them this season.
FCS
Missouri's,
teams.
it was 51-0. I remember that one, week 1.
Yeah, North Dakota State, South
put the
Dakota
brakes on pretty
State,
early.
North Dakota, a couple others have all scored over 50.
So how many points is Kentucky going to score?
It's so hard.
It's got to be 56 plus because they're going to want to put up points too. Like, this isn't going to be like we're going to score 30 and then go, hey, let's slam the brakes on. It's going to be for Bush and Stoops. It's going to be like, let's just put up some points so people have something to clap about. Like, let's try to score 70.
Who's putting up the points?
I mean, okay, this isn't an SEC defense. As we said, it's one of the worst defenses of all time.
I do ultimately think Cutter's going to be the first quarterback out there.
He will.
But I think there's going to be some turnovers, and so the possessions, you won't get as many possessions as you'd like. So I don't think they'll get to 50. I think it'll be 45.
Missouri State just scored 59 against them.
Yeah.
Before that, South Dakota State scored 52. Before that,
if we don't get to 70, we should be embarrassed.
I mean, Max, I don't know if you remember what offense you're talking about, though. Like, they haven't scored 20 against an SEC team. I know they're bad defensively, but
we put up 40 against Ohio, didn't we?
If they ran it every play, Nick, how many points do they score? If they just handed it off to the tailback every play.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, probably 45. Yeah. So
so
they've got to eat a 50 burger is what we're saying.
If Murray's this bad, do you have guilt of going to a place and not leaving it better than you found it? Do you feel partially responsible?
What's your deal?
Or you could just point at the fact that, hey, I mean, they got rid of people that were doing some quality stuff.
He's a cooler. They sent him there.
Won 2 games last year. So
we just didn't have enough time.
Yeah, we just didn't have enough time. Exactly. I was only there for a year. You can only do so much. I mean, my punter went on to Missouri. My kicker's killing it this year. Best player on the team.
See, look at that.
Yeah. So made 6 50-plus field goals. He's about to transfer out and go somewhere else. Spoiler alert for Murray. You're about to lose your kicker. So
let this be an example of giving up on coaches too quickly. We see it all the time.
Yeah.
Murray could be in the playoff conversation if they just give Max a little more time.
And here's the ironic thing. They talked to me and Coach Hood last year with 2 games to go, said, what's the chances you guys retire? We said 0% chance. We're not going anywhere. Well, they moved us on.
I thought you were saying that Kentucky fans were giving up on Mark Stoops too early. 12 years, not enough to know whether or not he's done.
Hey, here's a question. Is there a Dean Hood revenge factor in the facility?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make him want to hit the gas?
He did do the I'm retiring and then retired from coaching, not retired from
analyzing.
The special teams coordinator for Missouri went for the head coaching job at Murray State. Missed out. He was in the final 2. Eli Drinkwitz, before the game when they played Murray this year, in the pre-game speech said they didn't want our special teams coordinator. They didn't think he's good enough. They're about to find out how many points they're about to put on him. He actually made it a point. So I wonder if Stoops will make it a point that they got rid of Coach Hood.
Everybody likes Hood, too.
Speaking of Drinkwitz, Missouri's apparently a playoff team. If you watch his post-game press conference, which they were one of so many just wild, crazy football games that we had, stupid endings. And Max, I don't know if you were watching live. I wasn't. But Missouri gave up a scoop and score to Oklahoma in a tie ball game with 3 minutes left and won on a scoop and score. Now, how you can give up a 7-point lead and then take the lead with a scoop and score less than 2 minutes later, baffling. But right at that scoop and score, they hit Theo Weiss for a big touchdown, and then Oklahoma trying to run the ball down the field in a tie ball game. Maybe you can just run the clock out. I mean, there was only, 30 seconds left?
Yeah.
And, scoop and score, Missouri wins, and then Drinkwitz. He's putting Missouri in the playoffs after the game in his post-game interview with Colt Cuba.
They're going to lose this week, so they'll probably finish 9-3, but they're not a 9-3 football team. They're pretty average. I'm very, very happy right now. I got in before the LSU game, and I took Alabama to be the national champions. Put a decent amount of wager on it. Now it's looking nice. I mean, they're a very good football team. Here's my big prediction. Texas is going to lose to Texas A&M in the last game of the season, and they're going to miss out in the playoffs. They've only beaten Vandy. That's their best win. And some 10-2 team is not going to make the playoffs in the SEC. It's going to be Texas. Clear. And everyone's like, Texas national championship team, Texas, they're going to lose to Texas A&M, they're going to miss out in the playoffs. That's my big prediction.
I saw the odds on Alabama before that game.
It was nice.
It's a pretty good ticket. Yeah. I thought I was surprised to see it as long as it was.
I think Jalen Miller just scored another rushing touchdown in Death Valley. He just kept racking them up. But I'm glad you brought up the 2 lost teams, though. I think we knew going into the season that there was going to be bracketology and bubble watch and all this sort of stuff that we just hadn't had in college football before, where you had to actually compare resumes. And I think we were ready for that. And it was going to be kind of fun just to add this wrinkle to college football and kind of make things silly. The thing that we didn't anticipate is how stupid the conference tiebreakers are now that we don't have divisions and you can't just give a clear-cut winner here. Because, I mean, look at Miami lost, so now Miami, Clemson, SMU, they're all just jumbled up together. That's going to end up being in one big league. The SEC has a chance to have 6 two-loss teams.
Yes.
At the Final Horn.
Yeah. It's nuts.
And then what? And then you look at the Big Ten. The Big Ten's pretty bad outside of Oregon and Ohio State.
Indiana's pretty good.
But if Indiana beats Ohio State, then it might be Indiana and Penn State somehow over. Or there's like a weird the tiebreaker scenarios. I don't think we were fully prepared for them, and they're very, very stupid. They're very dumb, and that's going to be of all of the unintended consequences of the playoff. This one I don't think we saw coming, and it's ultimately going to determine a lot of the playoff because you had the automatic buys from conference champions. So it matters, and at this point, I just wanted to be as dumb as possible so that we end up getting a coin toss to decide it all.
Exactly.
Be fun. I'd love to bet on that coin toss.
Oh, man, that would be great.
I want absolute chaos in the first 12-team playoff. I already love just seeing the projected brackets. I don't know. It just feels cool. Anyone that hated the 12-team playoff, I think you're crazy because this is going to be awesome, and I think it's what you're talking about how nuts it's going to be. I don't think it will come to a coin toss, but the fact the first year is going to be pure chaos, I'm looking forward to it. And it makes me feel better about my own team.
But you feel like the chaos is there for the taking because Alabama can go out and play like they did against LSU, and then they can kind of just get their ass kicked at Vandy, or hell, they should have lost to South Carolina. Like week to week, things are pretty nuts, which makes
it's more NFL-like.
In trying to make sense of Kentucky's win at Ole Miss, I mean, they beat the hell out of Georgia. They kicked their ass. That was. I know that game meant a lot to them, and there was a lot of talk about like, this is why we got those transfers. This is why we did our NIL to beat a team like Georgia. But and so that part of it's different. But I think you probably said it best: is it is kind of like the NFL, where the Panthers can go out and win a couple games.
If you're looking for an example of how important an O-line is to the entire team, look no further than Georgia right now. I mean, their O-line is miserable, and they're doing similar stuff to what Kentucky's doing, and they can't put up points. And they're Georgia. So, like...
Also, if they run a pro-style offense, if you struggle there, you're in trouble.
The clip of all those guys swimming, the Georgia offensive line, simultaneously, that was nuts.
Did you see the Georgia player, celebrating after the game with all the people that saw on the field?
Has there been an explanation for that yet?
He went to high school with those people.
I figured there's some kind of family connection.
One of Ole Miss's players and that kid played high school football together.
Still tough.
So I think he saw that Ole Miss player's family or friends. And so I don't think they were too happy about that in the coach's office at the Georgia football facility this week.
I bet that didn't go over very well for Kirby.
Who's everyone's prediction to win the Natty then? Like if you had to choose right now, because it's tough. That's what's crazy about it is it's tough to there's not even a clear team where you're they just seem to be better than everyone.
Ohio State.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Now the defense, there's time. I feel like it takes them a while to get revved up, and every game they do something that's a little But I think just from a complete team standpoint, it's hard to poke a lot of holes there. Because, even worst case scenario, Will Howard's going to throw it up to a future NFL receiver or just go run for a first down. So that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Oregon's been the best team to this point. So that would be my pick today, but I think it's wide open. Honestly, how the bracket shakes out could say a lot to this.
If you get that, fourth seed, bye week team, yeah.
With Oregon, I just have a hard time believing somebody's going to completely run everything.
Oh, yeah. Just win
that would be very impressive. And they are clearly the best team. Surely they'll slip up somewhere along the way, and it's likely going to be in the playoffs.
We got to give somebody their flowers today. One of Luckett's locks this week was Georgia Tech, and they took down Miami outright.
Wow.
So did you have money line?
No money line.
No money line. But I enjoyed that after the game at Georgia Tech. Was it a player who was on the field with their phone, and they had a selfie? and a Miami player just grabbed it while the video was recording and threw it, and just the camera.
Jason Kelsey style.
And you just
Jason Kelsey started a movement.
Which, here's another movement. Why the hell do people keep throwing stuff on the field? What? LSU did it this weekend. Texas Tech students did it. Is Texas just ruining everything, Texas football? Because they were the first ones, and since it worked, I think everybody's now is just like, well, when in doubt, let's just throw a bunch of crap on the field.
I like that they're throwing things that you wouldn't expect, too. I mean, we can go back to Tennessee with mustard, but they're throwing tortillas. Where did they get the tortillas?
That's a Texas Tech thing.
Why are they throwing them? I mean, the objects being thrown aren't like common items you think you would find at a game.
They do like
golf balls.
Like,
what are we doing?
They throw tortillas of like the first touchdown every game.
I didn't know that.
That's a Texas Tech thing, and I don't really get it either.
Is Mahomes colorblind too? He created those uniforms, and they're just grey. Like, it was just all grey. Like, there was no colour in it. It was the worst uniform I've ever seen. Maybe he was like, I don't want to discriminate. If you can't see colour, like, I'm just going to help you out here. Like, it was literally just grey. It was the worst uniform I'd ever seen.
Maybe he's colorblind.
That's what I'm saying.
Surprised he just didn't make official jerseys.
The officials, especially in the Steelers-Commanders game, great, upstanding individuals. Didn't get a call wrong. It was a great spot at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Loved watching that unfold.
Roughing the passer, defensive holding, no go in Baltimore. Not mad about that at all.
The face masks were the...
Face masks.
And Bengals fans, they get accused a lot of times of screenshotting penalties. And you're like, you can't do that because things happen quickly. The one screenshot had 3 Bengals players getting their face masks held at the same time. I was like, okay, maybe one of them should have been called.
Are they the best 4-6 team of all time?
They have.
I've watched more Bengals this year than I think I've ever watched.
They are 0-5 in games just had about 6 points or less.
I feel like every time I watch them, like, man, they're looking good. Then at the end of the game, lost.
I think the NFL, if you score more than 30 points, you win every time, except the Bengals, who are 2-3.
Yeah, Burrow is the first quarterback to throw for 400 yards in 2 games and lose both of them in the same season or something like that.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
And then you've got Detroit throwing 5 picks and still winning.
Yeah.
So you got the other end of the spectrum.
You got to watch all these teams just pull wins out of their you-know-what. And then Jamar Chase goes nuclear and can't get a touch.
Kansas City blocking a field goal was insane.
I know nobody cares about your fantasy team, but I played Jamar Chase in every league I was in.
I played Chase and Dara.
You know how hard that is to just draw that draw? Oh, stupid. Which, speaking of stupid, who's ready for Coach Prime in the playoff? Y'all ready for it?
I'm more ready for Stephen A's take today. Coach Prime, Dallas Cowboys head coach.
Could have asked Jason Garrett what he thought about it.
He said tank to get Shadur and then hire Dion to be his head coach, which, I mean, we get a lot of nepotism in the college ranks. In the professionals, that would just be wild. I can't even fathom it.
They would have to rename First Take Cowboys Hour.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys take.
But Jerry would do that.
Especially after watching what Dion did when he was there.
Yeah. I think Jerry would absolutely consider that.
It's so crazy it might just work.
Stephen A., that's a terrible take, and I think there's a chance it could come true.
Oh, man.
Is it a consensus, too, that Travis Hunter, seeing as we're just talking about all college football right now, is Travis Hunter the Heisman? Does he just have to be?
I think right now he
is. He just has to be, right?
I think Cam Ward was going to win it if they would have ran the table, but now they've lost. It's going to be hard for him to win it.
And the fact that, I mean, his touchdown against Texas Tech, it looked pretty effortless, and it was on his 99th snap of the game. What?
It's mainly just them being good and that they might win the Big 12.
Yeah.
It's really what's going to win the Heisman for him.
And part of it is everyone's just, Ashton Genty's just normal. Like, every week.
He plays for Boise State at the end of the day. That's the biggest thing hurting
the stuff he's doing is, like, historic, and it's like, that's just what he does. Oh, yeah.
Which, man, Bush Hamden.
By the way, I saw a mock draft today with him going to the Bengals. I don't know if you want him, but
that could be fun.
Wouldn't be the worst pick.
We have more.
I would say
if we drafted a running back first round, I would not be a happy camper.
Defense is probably where you'd want to go there, but I did see that on a new mock draft today.
I have a theory of so when you're out in the wild and they say you walk past a bear or something, you just stand completely still and it won't attack you. It'll just leave you. When he stands back there completely still, defenses are just forgetting about him, that he's back there. Like they just miss him, and then he just takes off. And what's he averaging, 220 yards a game?
He's doing planking, but just standing straight up. It's so bizarre to watch. Which another bizarre thing happened after the Holy War, which you're part of a Holy War rivalry. But the Mormons and the Utes, I guess they're the Cougs, and the Utes played BYU Utah. Utah lost 4 straight. They're up 21-10 at halftime, and that lead slowly erodes away. A holding penalty, defensive holding keeps it late. BYU drive alive. They score twice in the fourth quarter and kick a field goal to win in the final seconds. Win by 1. And after the game, the Utah AD storms into the press conference room and says, that game was stolen from us. The Big 12 officials, they took that game from us, and it was a sham. And, I mean, he called out their new conference and just spoke his piece for 30 seconds and left. And I cannot imagine what it would have been like to be in that room, because that doesn't happen ever. I mean, you might get a coach that has I don't understand what the refs were saying, but for the AD to come in and say that game was stolen from us by the Big 12 officials.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he say something like, we were excited to join this conference, but not right now?
Yeah. And he said, I can't wait to see the commissioner of the Big 12. When he saw him, the Big 12 commissioner gave him a $40,000 fine and said, there you go.
Which that feels like not that much. After he said all that.
He just ran.
He
was on the field. He was on the field when at the end of the game, like when the plays were still going, he was on the field screaming at the refs.
I mean, the commissioner's statement, too, is like, there's a right time and place for this. I don't think there's a right time and place to say that your conference sucks and the officials you hired are terrible. I don't think there's any way that's the right time and place. But I love it. Like, how else was he going to say that behind closed doors and things going to change? No. I love just publicly putting officials on blast, because how else is there going to be any sort of public accountability? There's not.
Is this him just trying to flex because he's new? Like, I've heard when you go to prison, you just find the toughest guy and whoop their ass that way, you know?
I think it was
he's just like, I'm just going to go at the commissioner right away so everyone knows I'm here and not to mess with me.
They hate BYU.
Yeah.
And BYU hates them, and that they had a chance to ruin BYU's perfect season, and they felt like it got stolen from them. So I think that was fit of rage walking in there. I think that's what really happened there. But, man. I mean, you know, we joke, the officiating, like right now in football, there's a lot of unhappy, you know, I joked about the Bengals. They've got more problems than the officials. But, like, it's an issue, I think, all over the place. I still, like the Zion Childress pick 6 against Georgia, I don't know how that was overturned. I still don't know how that was overturned. But the officiating is a massive, massive issue.
If that counts, where are we right now?
Oh, we are in the biggest mind pretzel of all time. Kentucky would have been, say that, and nothing else changes except they have that win. Like, the Vanderbilt game would have been like the biggest meltdown ever. Then you follow it up with everything that's happened since. Like, you think the fan base is mad now? I think how mad they would have been.
And even more mad when we go to Texas, beat Texas, and we just be like, what is going on?
Giant killers.
And that's the other thing that Stoops has brought up a couple of times when he talks about how tough the league is, and we've played all these top 10 teams, and it's like, you play those guys well, but you got your ass kicked by that Auburn team stinks. They are so bad. South Carolina, okay, you know, they can do some stuff, but
they've been much better than anyone realized.
Yeah. But
they got 2 losses by like.
And the game got away from them. Like, you can't excuse one. Like, stuff happens, but like again, the more like the Vanderbilt game was more alarming. It's off a bye week. Mm-hmm. You had them off like the biggest high they've ever had. I don't think Vanderbilt played extremely well in that football game. And and even Stoops said it in his interview. It was like what he's called, laundry list of self-inflicted mistakes or whatever. Like, that you came out and played like that after, like, how does that happen? And then you follow that up with, like, you can't guard a vertical pass against Florida. And then Auburn, you're banged up more. So, I mean, you know, it happens. But, yeah, that's more the story of the season. It's not necessarily how they've played against the top 10 teams. It's that how can you, against all these teams that are very much equal footing to you this season, how can you play that bad? And not only that, lose all of these games by really double digits, because Vandy was a double-digit game until you scored with, 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter?
It's been inexplicable. This is I like to pride myself on having my finger on the pulse and kind of knowing what's going on. In 2021, I think it was, had every game corrected, prediction correct in the preseason. There's been a couple times where I'm like, we're all over it. I can't figure this team out at all. Like, it's just every single week, you never know what you're going to get, Max, and it's frustrating.
It's three things. Too many night games, inability to tie shoelaces, and then way too much of taking exactly what Stoops says in his press conferences and telling you not to write a story about it, and then you guys writing a story.
Yeah. Well,
the headlines.
That's the three things.
There's four.
He's telling you don't write. This is not a headline story, and then he'll tell you it, and then you guys make it a headline story.
You forgot about the fourth thing. Fundraising.
Yeah,
too much fundraising.
We got to write our stories. And him saying, I don't want to make headlines, is becoming a headline in itself. Because he says it every time there's an interview.
I mean, I'm doing that from now on. It's going to be like Nick Saban, Maria Taylor. I'm not stopping, so quit asking. Like, anytime he says, I don't want to make that a headline, that's a headline.
It should be the definitely not headline story of the week.
Well, the definitely not headline story today that Luckett got his badge of honor was asking about a pretty huge issue, which I'm sure we're going to get into a lot more on 11 Personnel on Wednesday. Make sure you're subscribed to the KSR YouTube channel for that. But they're not going to 105 scholarships like we expected to, Luckett.
Yeah.
It's been trending that way for the longest time. The SEC said, you know what, nothing's going to be official. So, coaches, it's a month till signing day. We're going to make it official. Only 85 scholarships. And I know they had plans for both. They had a 105 plan and they had an 85 plan. But this definitely cramped their style. Sure. They were fully anticipating a lot of roster turnover with the ability to add a bunch of new players, and that plan just got changed at the seemingly 11th hour, literally 11 months into this recruiting cycle.
Yes, so I think that's not something they had multiple plans, but I think I think most schools were hoping that they would get to this 105 to give them more, just wiggle room in the portal. And if you wanted to sign a bunch of high school players, you could do both.
Yeah.
But now for Kentucky, for you to have a big transfer portal class, you're going to need a lot of players to leave this roster.
Yeah.
And that's probably, I don't know if that's going to happen. So you're probably looking at a smaller portal class. And, with that, can you fix all your needs? And you have enough young players ready to step into big roles next season? That's really the big takeaway from that, is that it's probably going to lead to them. If you're expecting them to have one of these huge 25-plus player transfer hauls, I don't know if that's going to happen unless we see significant more turnover than we've seen in the past off a roster for Kentucky.
It's like we said earlier, it's going to be an eventful December. But this has been a pretty eventful show. Have we enjoyed it? Feel good?
Other than that fly that's been here for 45 minutes.
The fly definitely has something to say.
If
we want to throw it to the fly at any point, it's been going mic to mic, it's ready to give its hot take.
I considered walking away and getting a fly swatter, but we're live on YouTube. Is that a PETA thing? Can we swat flies? Are they good? Because I was going to go grab one, but we let them roam. But it's been a distraction.
How pissed was PETA Saturday at Omar Bradley? Anybody see Omar Bradley?
I didn't.
I didn't even know.
The LSU. I mean, it's the most college football story ever. The Louisiana governor, he's mad that there hasn't been a live tiger at Tiger Stadium. Mike the Tiger has been at his enclosure. He's like, by God, we need a live tiger in the stadium. That's the only way we're going to beat Bama. So LSU's like, wait, we can't bring the tiger in. The Tigers, they don't like that. We quit doing this years ago, and it will threaten us to lose our license with the USDA if we bring Mike out of his enclosure to the stadium. He's like, so what if we got another tiger? And they were like, sure. Are you going to go get another tiger? Go ahead. So they got, instead of Mike the Tiger, they got Omar Bradley. That's a real name of a tiger. Omar Bradley.
When you were asking about Omar Bradley, I'm like, is that a player? Am I supposed to know who Omar Bradley is?
He's a tiger who is owned by a guy who just...
Tiger King.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically a Tiger King guy who's been cited by PETA and all sorts of people, the USDA, for maltreatment of animals. He owns a bunch of tigers. He lives outside of Orlando. So this guy throws Omar Bradley in the trailer. They drive him up to Baton Rouge from Orlando, about a 10.5-hour drive. And then during pregame, Omar Bradley comes out in the tiger cage on the sideline. And then they all have this moment where there's Omar Bradley, and the Louisiana governor, he gets his wish. And what's funny is the guy that he assigned to do this, he's like, damn it, I need a live tiger at Tiger Stadium. He gets his Surgeon General to do it, And the Louisiana Surgeon General for the state is also a vet, which is just... Of course he is. I mean, it's the most Louisiana thing ever. And I just love that it was pouring raining, and then they just got their ass kicked. And now all of the takes are, is Brian Kelly washed? Is he done? Is he done at LSU?
All of that to lose to a head coach wearing a T-shirt.
Yeah, 0-1 in Omar Bradley games.
Oh, man. Oh, it was such a silly day for the sport on Saturday.
Man, Alabama's really got a rough down year. Go in the Tiger Stadium, Omar Bradley staring at you. You just win by 50. Tough year they're having.
Oh, man. It's infuriating. Gosh. This season, it has been chaos, though. And chaos is fun. I just wish we had more of the good chaos. Yeah. We've gotten one fun weekend of good chaos. Maybe there's another one or two on the horizon. 3 games left. A quarter of the season left. You know, maybe play a little spoiler down at Texas. Could maybe ruin Louisville season. Louisville kind of putting together something in ACC play. They've rattled off a few wins. So 3 games to go. We get the Murray State Racers Saturday, 1:30. That's a SEC Network Plus, ESPN Plus game. So if you've been logging in to watch the basketball games, you're well versed in how this works. That'll be the case for the 1:30 kickoff. I'm hoping for good weather. It feels like these games always have bad weather, though. I think about the time when...
I just want a normal game. Like the chaos is fun everywhere else. Can Kentucky just go in, win by a lot of points, everything just be... No controversy, no lightning delays. Nothing crazy. Just let's have a normal Saturday, have a little fun, and then see what we can do in Austin.
That would be. I would like that. Ends early. Is Georgia Tennessee a night game like it? Feels like it.
I think that's 3:30.
Okay. Well, I'm sure there's a good night game out there.
Oh, I'm not sure. Actually.
Is Nico? Is he out?
Hypo said to monitor the injury report, but expects to have him.
Oh. Could be interesting if they don't have him.
It's at 7:30.
7:30. There we go. Get to watch the Cats beat the Racers and go watch a little football at night. Should be a nice tailgate. So let's have a normal Saturday. We appreciate you all joining us for a not so normal KSR football podcast featuring our fifth wheel, the Fly. We'll be back next week for more. See you then.